Greetings. By virtue of your presence watching this video today, I want you to know that we consider you to be an extended member of our family at Unity in Linwood. We believe that you are an individualized expression of that one creative impetus which stands behind all life. And as such, we celebrate the uniqueness which you are, and we celebrate our unity with you. We are glad you're with us.
Good morning, Unity in Linwood. Good morning, Unity in Linwood. Good morning, Unity in Linwood. Don and Patricia, welcome home. How long has it been? 3 years. Welcome home. And did I see a Christine Powell in the house this morning? Christine Powell, welcome home. We knew you were coming back. That's right. Unity in Linwood's Health and Wellness Ministry presents 3 upcoming events. The second of our summer hikes on Saturday, August 19th, our movement experience that is becoming recurring, by the way. It's called The Body is the Temple of the Soul on August 16th. And next Sunday, following the 11 o'clock service, a workshop entitled Functional Medicine with Dr. Jennifer Lovejoy. Now, Dr. Lovejoy brings an approach to healthcare that focuses on optimal functioning of the body and its organs. Does this sound good to anyone? Involving a whole systems approach. Learn how functional medicine, which views each person as genetically, biochemically, and environmentally unique, addresses both wellness and disease. After the 11 o'clock service next week. And finally, all are encouraged and invited to attend a fundraising event entitled Mozart. It's an evening of classical music and fine arts. We will be auctioning many of the beautiful pieces that have been hanging in our artists' hallway over the past year. Tickets are $20. They're available in our spiritual gift shop. Every service has an ambassador. This person's role is to support you in your exploration and discovery of this evolving divine idea we call Unity in Linwood. If you have a question about who we are, about what we believe, about what we teach, about what is available to you on your exploration, you are welcome to engage this soul in conversation. Her name is Nan Allen. Would you wave at these kind people, please? Practical spirituality, welcoming community. It is our admittedly short mission statement. Yet again, I think it speaks volumes. So take a deep breath. Every week I like to support this with one of the 6 bullet points which we developed in conversation with your Board of Trustees beginning in late 2014. It reads as follows: we seek to discover and to share spiritual practices which are reliable and repeatable, and to infuse these spiritual practices into every arena of daily life. Fair enough? Did you know that captured within a tree's 1-year growth layer is something of the air from that year, transformed over time into carbon? So when we consider Brazil's Patriarca da Floresta as one example, we consider a sacred tree holding the impressions, if you will, of some 2,000 years within its growth layers. Perhaps I found this more interesting than you do. I don't know. Bear with me. It's the first time I've tried anything creative on a Sunday morning. So I appreciate your patience and your support. And when we consider the olive tree of Bouvez, located on the Greek Isle of Crete, we consider a tree still producing olives, by the way, holding the impressions of some 3,000 years within its growth layers. And considering Grand Abuelo, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We can move you right to the middle, I think. And when we consider Grand Abuelo, as it's known, one of a towering species native to the Andes, we consider a tree holding the impressions of some 3,500 years. And this is with the older generations having been lost to 19th and 20th century logging. And residing in a small churchyard in North Wales, Llangerny yew, planted sometime in the Bronze Age. It's still growing and it's still gathering impressions after its 4,000 years. You are a good audience. I'm just going to start making up trees. And finally, it was an ancient bristlecone pine in the White Mountains of California that was considered by many to be the oldest known non-cloning organism on Earth. And while Methuselah, as it's known, still stands tall at the ripe old age of 4,848 years, another bristlecone pine in the area was dated at over 5,000 years just last year in 2016. So while you may visit that very grove in the White Mountains of California, the exact locations of Methuselah and its newly identified senior are kept close secrets for all obvious reasons. So should you be completely unable to resist the draw to discover just how it feels to wrap your arms around some 5,000 years of wisdom locked within the growth layers of a bristlecone pine, you will have to walk from tree to tree, asking, "Are you Methuselah? Are you Methuselah?" And should you choose to do so, it's my suggestion that you do so quietly, perhaps even in complete privacy. But having offered such a suggestion, if you should nonetheless find yourself in a position of having to explain your conversation with a tree, having to explain any conversation with any plant, really, at no point should you mention my name, or Unity in Linwood, or Unity in general. In fact, I would really quite prefer that you capitalize on a recent typographical error and place all responsibility on the Right Reverend Robert Held, who teaches at Unitarian in Linwood. It's a true story. The Right Reverend Robert Held. I'll tell you afterward. So when we consider that apple tree in Lincolnshire, England, surrounded by a wicket fence and an orchard, that tree from whose ancestor an apple reputedly fell to thump a young man on the head and prompt him into an important consideration of just why an apple would fall down instead of up or sideways, we consider a tree that holds the impression of Isaac Newton's awakening in 1666. Thank you for indulging my extended metaphor this morning. And when we consider the chestnut whose branches dangled outside that attic window of a house in Amsterdam where young Anne Frank hid, In a very real sense, we consider a tree that holds the impressions of the Gestapo dragging her and her family away in 1944. And when we consider the elm scorched and embedded through with debris standing outside that federal building in Oklahoma City, in a very real sense, we consider a tree that holds the impression of an unthinkable violence that claimed 168 souls in 95. Today, that very elm, it's known as the survivor tree, by the way. It stands over 40 feet tall. So, if you knew that something of the quality of your beingness would be captured and transformed into carbon, or transformed into something hard, into something material, that it would be captured and transformed into something of a corresponding effect in your outer life, if you knew this, what qualities of beingness would you choose to live from? Would you continue to live from the same fear? Would you continue to live from the same lack? Would you continue to live from the same smallness? For this something of a correlation between the quality of your beingness and the quality of your experience is a very common theme to virtually every spiritual tradition, from Hebrew scriptures, for example. They that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. Christian scripture, he who sows sparingly shall reap, and he who sows bountifully shall reap. You are so good. The Quran, he who shall mediate between men for a good purpose shall be the gainer, but he who would mediate with an evil mediation shall reap the fruit. Baha'i, naught is reaped save that which has been sown, and naught is taken up save that which has been laid down. The Upanishads, not in the sky, nor in the depths of the sea, nor hiding in the cleft of the rocks. There is no place on earth where one can take one's stand to escape an evil deed. And my favorite comes from Buddhism. The idiot is punished by his own deeds. The Buddhists can be incredibly clear. Fillmore himself, as we sow in mind, so shall we reap in manifestation. So yes, if you knew that something of the quality of your beingness would be captured and transformed into carbon, meaning transformed into something hard, into something material, that it would be captured and transformed into something of a corresponding effect in your outer life, what qualities of beingness would you choose to live from? And while the human creature is so very tempted to assess such matters by virtue of this one fleeting human incarnation, by virtue of all that happens between dates that appear on birth certificates and dates that appear on death certificates, be not so tempted, please, by such a limited perspective. For whether your work in consciousness bears fruit in this lifetime or in the next, your work in consciousness is never in vain. So when we become willing to assess such matters, not by virtue of this one fleeting human incarnation, but by virtue of our higher reality as ever unfolding soul material, we can remain just as vibrant, just as enthusiastic, just as green and juicy at 90 as we were at 20. We too can be Nan Allens. That made me uncomfortable too. I'm sorry. I don't know. We too can be Dan Hunter and Irene Hunters. 75th wedding anniversary last week, by the way. Can you imagine? I think you're going to make it. I think you're going to make it. Today marks the first installment of an event which a couple of our artists have called Spirit Art. And we've chosen to host this event on the day of our annual all-community picnic. And this first installment is called our Unity Family Tree. And so it is that in a few moments, you will be invited to come forth. It is optional, of course. It's optional. But you'll be invited to come forth and to place your thumb into the paint and to add your thumbprint to this beautiful painting of a tree. Here's how it will work. We'll form two lines. One person will come to this side, another person will come to this side. Heidi, one of our artists, will meet you with a wipe. You will cleanse your hands, throw it away, depart, go back to your seat. You'll notice that the painting has already been signed by those who have come before today. You will have the opportunity to sign it after the service. Now, if you choose not to participate this morning, this will also be available at the all-community picnic following this service. So if you miss your opportunity this morning, fret not. So let's take a deep breath and let's close our eyes to that outer world of appearances and effects. And let's come together in something of a high and noble claim, and that is that God is. God is. So may these intentions, may these prayers in the form of finger painting, may these prayers do exactly that. May they become manifest in the world of form. Demonstrations, living, breathing, walking, talking demonstrations of God's infinite life, of the love we know God to be. Let these become demonstrations, manifestations, both today and for future generations, of all the wisdom which so longs for expression in this world. May they do that. May they do that. May they do that.
Thanks again for joining us. Please visit unityandlinwood.org for a preview of all upcoming classes, services, and events, and for an opportunity to make a gift to our community should you so choose. Thank you.